the podcast for the Treasure Coast. With breaking news.
The latest tech. With scripture and devotionals added in at times.
The only podcast on the Treasure Coast, that brings you breaking news, along with anything tech, with edited reading or commenting on scripture, and a devotional at times. Welcome to Treasure Coast's real-time podcast.
Are you looking for real news and the truth? You are invited to join us. Listen to our podcast, Real-Time News of the Treasure Coast. We are RTN, Real-Time News of the Treasure Coast. I am the host, James Powell, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. You can listen on Anchor FM. That's Anchor FM/T-Coast Real-Time News. Be sure to join us. We cover the latest news, technology, scripture, and prayer. Hey, this is James Powell, your host for today's podcast. We thank you for joining us, and we hope that you will share this, like this, and follow us on our social media channels. Also, go to our YouTube channel, jjmediaonline.net/YouTube. And our purpose and our focus is bringing you real news, added on with real tech, and we always talk about a real God, whether we bring scripture, pray, or we bring some type of ministry or church-related things. We appreciate you joining us on our podcast, and we look forward to bringing you the breaking and new news for today's show. Make sure you stay tuned. We do thank you for joining us on this podcast today. Our goal is to bring you real news and bring it with a Christian perspective. We are conservative. We make no bones about it. I have my Trump hat on, and I am a big proponent of religious freedom, and we push America first. But I want to thank you for joining us today on our podcast, and we hope that we can actually bring you the perspective of what America is about. We do want to invite you to like our Facebook page. In fact, I will pull it up here as we transition to the podcast. And the big thing about it is I want to make sure that you really get real news. We're trying to build out this community of real-time news, and we are getting on the local or on all the different podcast forums. So we do invite you to join, share, and go to our YouTube channel, jjmediaonline.net/YouTube. But we thank you for joining us today. Let's go ahead and transition. We'll show you if you are on our YouTube watching on this episode, this is our Facebook page. Please go to facebook.com/realtimenewstc. That's facebook.com/realtimenewstc. Stands for Treasure Coast. Like the page, follow us, and we hope to really be bringing you new and updating things. One of the things that we are looking at, I am looking to get a co-host for this podcast, and try to just talk things through. If you are a Christian, of course, if you're a Christian, you're probably a conservative. Just saying. If you would like to join me and do a co-host duties as we record this. Of course, all the podcasts are pre-recorded. We rarely do live. We will eventually transition, hopefully, to live. But thank you for joining us today. But if you would be interested, email, contact me, even to the Facebook page, DM me, direct message me, or email me, james@jjmediaonline.net. All right, let's jump into the news that I'm pulling up today. All right, this is about, I do want to remind you, all the links will be in the episode notes and on our YouTube channel description of that particular broadcast. Okay, this one change would help businesses survive lockdowns and convince governments to shorten them. If millions of Americans have lost their jobs during the coronavirus crisis, and firms across the country are struggling to avoid going out of business entirely. Meanwhile, many states and localities are fighting to extend lockdowns even longer. One enterprising state lawmaker in Minnesota has posed an interesting question, and this is pretty cool. What if state and local governments had to compensate businesses for the mandated closures in the same way they have to compensate landowners when they use eminent domain? So, the thing about this is kind of adding accountability to the local authorities, and that's good. Such a bill would not only provide businesses a way to make themselves whole after lockdowns, but it would also make governors and local officials more hesitant, that's the key, to extend the orders shutting down broad swaths of the economy. It is Republican State Rep Shane McKeelan, I think I pronounced that right, a victim of politically motivated violence egged on by Democrat leaders. Let's get back to America first, putting our country before politics. It is so disgusting. So disgusting. Here is the bill. An owner may bring an action in district court to compel the state to commence condemnation proceedings and payment of just compensation for loss of income during and for a reasonable period of time after a temporary, partial, or complete closure of the business that would not have occurred before compliance with the executive order, or loss of going concern, including the loss of real property, if the closure of the business results in the owner going out of business and the owner would not have gone out of business for the compliance with the executive order. So it's basically, there again, it's basically bringing back responsibility and accountability to the local government and to the state. So you have a lot of these, if you've noticed, the states that are having trouble are the states that are run by Democrats. There are a few states, I'm just going to name them out. Ohio, Governor DeWine, you're an idiot. He's a rhino, in my opinion. He just really looks like a rhino. I do live in Florida, and I'm still not convinced Governor DeSantis is all on board. I do not trust him all the way. There's something with him I cannot put my finger on. It's like he's riding the line. So, but this is one thing that is happening, that local lawmakers and state lawmakers are trying to get back to hold the government accountable, and specifically state governments. All right, the next order, or the next news article, Anderson Cooper. Cooper throws childish tantrums over criticism of Greta, that 17-year-old Greta Thunberg, being a coronavirus town hall guest. And I'm not going to play the video, but you can go ahead and read up on this. Anderson Cooper ended Thursday's latest CNN coronavirus town hall with an emotional, driven, hypocritical, and and a rant complaining about the phony online outrage machine. It's amazing. It is amazing when you toss how they do, toss it back in their face. They cannot handle any opposition. But you have this 17-year-old Greta Thunberg that hasn't even lived life yet on these quote expert unquote panels and supposedly knowing what is to do, and then Anderson Cooper goes back, took cheap shots at Donald Trump Jr. Of course, that's nothing new. CNN is the corrupt news network. That's what I call them, corrupt news network. So come on, guys, get real, get real. Here it says Cooper, so we taped that interview earlier today, as I mentioned. I just wanted to take a moment to point out a kind of surreal, absurd drama that played out over the last 24 hours online, and amazingly in some reputable news sources. Someone with a, he goes on to complain, someone with a blue check on Twitter saw the initial ad and was outraged and claimed that we had booked Greta Thunberg to be an expert on a coronavirus panel with other experts, and said, then of course, and here's his slam at Donnie Trump Jr. jumped into this, which is weird because I thought he was allegedly running whatever remains of the Trump organization. Get this, whatever remains of the Trump organization. They hate Trump through and through. They're trying to destroy him. And then he talks of, allegedly such a great big company. Well, the Trump organization is a big company. Okay, but here he goes on to say, it just feels weird to watch stuff you're involved with play out in the public sphere and like this is all just made up. This is really strange. Really? You're an idiot, Anderson Cooper. You are an idiot. Corrupt News Network, CNN. All right. The next article, John Brennan was a key guy pushing the fraudulent dossier, and this is from Tom Fenton. And here is the video, but let me just go ahead and play. Let me play a little bit of it. Make sure the sound is on.
President Trump today congratulated our first guest tonight, who's been. And joining us tonight, Tom Fitton, the president. Coats out, Ratcliffe in. Your thoughts?
Well, Dan Coates, was kind of AWOL on cleaning out the Office of Director of National Intelligence that was, in many ways, deep state central in terms of protecting Hillary Clinton, believe it or not, while targeting President Trump. And just generally speaking, the Office of Director of National Intelligence is this extra bureaucracy that was created that doesn't really add anything to the national security.
All right, and you notice that I am originally from Indiana, and Dan Coates was, in fact, his hometown was around 15 miles from where I originally was born and raised. So I know Dan Coates. Dan Coates is deep state. Dan Coates is corrupt. Dan Coates is not good. So this is a really, really good move. This is an awesome move. So it's still cleaning out the corruption. That's the bottom line. That is what is happening. All right, our next episode, or our next news article, the Teflon campaign, why nothing sticks to Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Do want to remind you, you can click the links in the show notes of either our podcast or our YouTube description. You can go ahead and click that, and you can look at these articles. Do the research yourself, study up on them. Just because I bring something, it's good to really dig into it. All right, it was Congresswoman Pat Schroeder, Democrat from Colorado, who labeled Ronald Reagan the Teflon president in a fit of exasperation in August 1983. What frustrated Schroeder was that nothing stuck to Reagan. Not the recession, not his misadventures in Lebanon, not his seeming detachment from his own administration. Reagan's job approval had plunged to a low 35% at the beginning of that year, but his numbers were rising and his personal favorability remained high. And she said he is just a master of ceremonies at someone else's dinners. Ironically, the one thing that did stick to Reagan was Schroeder's nickname. The phrase was so catchy that writers applied it to mobsters, Teflon Don, John Gotti, and to Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. Teflon presidents, gangsters, candidates, we have had them all. What we have not experienced until now is a Teflon campaign. So on March 11th, Joe Biden led Donald Trump supposedly by 7 points. I still do not see this. And then on May 14th, he led Trump by 5 points. Biden's advantage. Of course, this is CNN. I'm sorry. This is just funny. This is funny. Let me back off a little bit and just give the kind of 30,000 foot perspective. Okay. If you look at this, they keep saying Biden has been leading Trump. Okay, look at the rallies that Trump was having before this coronavirus issue. Literally thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people. You have 4,000 to 6,000 people standing outside in the cold at his rallies. And they have big jumbotrons or big screens where people can watch it on the outside in 10,000, 14,000 seat auditoriums, and even bigger, some even bigger. He's setting records at different auditoriums. And then they show a Democrat rally, and you notice how they don't back up the camera much at a Democrat rally because they only have the 100, 200 there, and they zoom in and they try to make it look crowded. Come on. Get real. This is stupid. We know, the American people know the truth. And Trump is about America first. Trump is about, he has done more for the Christian community, putting God back into the political and putting God back into the square per se, and into the conversation. Churches and the Judeo Christian belief. I'll tell you, it's Trump. You can look at his past. I don't agree with everything, but he's brought God back in to the conversation, and I am thrilled about that. So that's that. I went on a little of a rant. All right, the next article we have is Wisconsin Supreme Court says the state's COVID-19 lockdown violated the rule of law and the separation of powers. Oh, really? That really, I'm being sarcastic, totally shocking. Local officials, President Trump has allowed the local officials to really show themselves. If nothing else that this coronavirus has done, the scam that it has been, it has showed the corruption in the state government to the local level, and President Trump hasn't mandated from the federal level. He's letting the local officials make the decisions and letting them show their corruption. And people are waking up. All right, after the Wisconsin Supreme Court overturned the state's COVID-19 lockdown yesterday, Governor Tony Evers, a Democrat, declared that Republicans have thrown the state into chaos. Oh, really? He was referring to how residents might react now that they are no longer legally required to remain at home and keep their businesses closed. But the justices were concerned about a different sort of anarchy, the kind that happens when governments impose sweeping restrictions on individual freedom, backed by the threat of criminal penalties without proper legal authority. The court's decision focuses on a technical issue of statutory interpretation and was Emergency Order 28, while Acting Secretary of Health Services Andrea Palm issued on April 16th an order as she mandated, or a rule, as the Republican leaders of the state legislature argued. If it was a rule, as the court concluded, it was clearly illegal, since Palm admittedly did not follow the statutory requirements for emergency rulemaking. You know, they're being called out. These liberal and corrupt politicians on both sides of the aisles are being called out, and it seems like that the majority of them are Democrat. All right, let's jump in. We're going to talk about TubeBuddy. I use TubeBuddy. If you are an online marketer and you want to really get your message out using YouTube, use TubeBuddy. Go to tubebuddy.com/JJmedia. That's tubebuddy.com/JJmedia. I am an affiliate of them, so I will get if you want to support our show, you can support it by purchasing TubeBuddy. And TubeBuddy is your best friend on the road to YouTube success. They offer a TubeBuddy as a free browser and extension, but then if you want to really advance, you can purchase it. Go ahead and purchase it. They have advanced keyword research. They cut the publishing time in half. You can rank higher in search results. You get more views and subscribers. You can test, tweak, and win the click against your competitors. And there are over 3 million YouTube creators and brands. Are you looking for a new and innovative way to advertise? Specifically, if you are on the Treasure Coast of Florida. If you're on the Treasure Coast of Florida, we can give you a great way to advertise. How about call Flamin Hot Ads? 833-ADS-TO-GO, 833-ADS-TO-GO. What Flamin Hot Ads does is put your business card size ad on a carryout tray. And basically, you are putting your ad literally into the hands of potential customers. In this time of the coronavirus and all the carry-out restaurants, all the restaurants forced to do carry-out orders, why not put your ad literally into the hands of your potential customers? Flamin Hot Ads does have their restaurant distributors. You can click the link on their website, flaminhotads.com or flaminhotads.net. Go to their website, click on restaurant distributors. You can pull up the restaurants that they have their containers in. You can become a preferred customer. Preferred customer gets extra focus, a less expensive ad. You can sign up for a 12-month for your advertising. So we thank you for listening to us. Let's go on to our tech article. Our tech article, we're gonna look at the programmable coffee grinder is the ultimate setup for serious home baristas, as long as you prefer brewing methods that require finer grinds. Most generally, when I bring a tech article, it's about new online tech stuff. But every once in a while, I like bringing a new tech product. Okay, let me just go ahead and read this. My coffee grinder is one of the steadiest and most faithful kitchen companions. After studying up on reviews, the writer says, I put the Baratza Encore on our wedding registry. Okay, they write about a review. When you want more consistent, more delicious coffee, weighing your beans is a way to go. So basically what this does, this actually is a coffee maker that weighs your beans, and then you can adjust it to how fine you want the coffee to be ground. You ground your coffee, then it goes on to brew the coffee. So it's weigh, grind, and brew. And then you can adjust how coarse you want your coffee or how fine you want your coffee ground. That's cool. I like that. I may have to jump on that and take a look at that. I'm a huge coffee guy, and I truly like it. All right, as we get ready to prep to end the show, I do want to jump over to another supporter. If you live in the Hobe Sound, Stuart, Florida area, the Hobe Sound, Stuart, Florida area, and you need your lawn service, and it's actually the South Stuart, Florida, Hobe Sound area, call Peter's Lawn Services. Peter's Lawn Services, 740-710-2031. That's 740-710-2031 for a quality lawn job. And you can also email Brian, that is Brian, at peterslawnservicesfl.com. peterslawnservicesfl.com. I do have the website in the description, in the episode notes, and the description of our YouTube airing this episode. But go to peterslawnservicesfl.com. Contact them for your local Hobe Sound, South Stuart, Florida area lawn services. As we end today, want to approach the verse of the day, and I encourage you to focus on God and let Him know all, and pray to Him. He will listen to your prayer. Be careful, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Ephesians 5:15. Thoughts on today's verse. Living with urgency doesn't mean living recklessly. It means living with a holy abandon to honor God, and with a holy passion to make each moment count for righteousness. That means we must be intentional about our choices, taking care that we use our moments wisely as we live a life of character different from the world around us, because we are dedicated to Jesus. My prayer, fill me with wisdom, O God, that I may honor you with my choices and use of time today and every day. Protect me from the deceptive influences of the evil one, and grant me a holy and productive use of the time you bless me with each day. In the name of Jesus, my Lord, I pray. Amen. I do want to thank you again for taking the time to listen to my podcast. We ask you to email James at jjmediaonline.net if you would be willing to allow us to interview. They're pre-recorded interviews. We would toss the questions out to you, and you'd be able to select what ones. We'd schedule the interview, and then we use freeconferencecall.com to record our interviews, and it'd just be an audio interview, and you'd be able to just talk about what this quarantine has done for you. Thank you again for listening, and we trust that you have a great day, and we look forward to bringing you the next podcast and bringing you more news. Thank you again, and we trust that God richly